Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for Coach the Coach Radio. Brought to you by the Business RadioX Ambassador Program, the no-cost business development strategy for coaches who want to spend more time serving local business clients and less time selling them. Go to brxambassador.com to learn more. Now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Coach the Coach Radio, and this is going to be a good one. Today we have with us Coach Adelee Mirelez from Coach Adelee. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Well, before we get too far into things, tell us about your practice. How are you serving folks?
Well, I serve people to really look at the emotional aspects of where they are in their life. And the way I see it is if we're running a business, we need to make sure that all of our belief systems around running a business, confidence, money mindset, all of that is intact before we can move forward and be successful in our business.
So now, how did you get into this line of work? Were you always involved in coaching, or did you have a different career path and then kind of jumped into coaching at some point?
I definitely had a different career path, but it was also it's been a life work for me. So my first interest in coaching was after I got divorced. I was a mess, and I employed my own coaches to help me. And when I saw the transformation that was happening, I thought, wow, I really need to be in this field. So I've acquired several different coaching certifications. I'm also a firewalk instructor, and it's been a way of life for me. And what I love about coaching is that it holds us as coaches to a higher standard so that we're always walking our talk, being in alignment with who we say we are, so that our clients also benefit from it.
Now, when you kind of made the decision to say, okay, I am going to now become a coach, and, one day you were not a coach, and then the next day you were a coach, how did that kind of emotionally, how did you kind of have the confidence to say, okay, now I'm ready to help another person. I feel qualified in order to help another person transition or to, kind of get to a new level in their life?
I think it almost happened accidentally. I had been doing so much work on myself that people were asking me, well, what are you doing differently? What's happening in your life that suddenly you're showing up for things in a different way? And they just naturally come to me to ask questions and were really interested in it. And I kept thinking, this is kind of a pattern. Maybe I should look into doing this. And as I've done it more and more, I'm finding I live that way. People are automatically attracted to what I'm doing and want to know more. Now,
when you're going through the process of becoming a coach, I'm sure you kind of tried on a variety of maybe different methodologies and certifications and different ways to go about being a coach. How do you evolve as a coach where you feel like, this is me now, and I'm using all these and I have access to all these tools, but this is really my kind of way of doing this and coaching people?
Lee, that's a great question. And over the years, it's really evolved for me. And I have to be honest, I don't think that I'm going to be the same 5 years from now as I am today. I believe it's as we as coach continuously develop ourselves, we continuously acquire new tools, acquire new ways of thinking, acquire new routines, new things that help us evolve. I mean, as human beings, we should be evolving and aspiring to be better and better over time. And so what I would say, it's almost like a woven cloth. We look at the intricate art pieces that are woven by the natives and indigenous cultures. And I feel that like my practice has become kind of a woven masterpiece of the different tools. Sometimes I'll abandon a tool because it's just not working for that time. And then other times I'll bring back old tools that maybe I'd retired for some time. And then I'll bring in the new tools that I've been using and kind of find my footing and use them all together.
Now, do you feel that your lens into coaching is kind of unique in the sense that your early education was in psychology, and then maybe you had more in-depth kind of education in business management, and then you layer on leadership and all of these variety of coaching methodologies that you've been part of, does that kind of give you a unique lens in helping someone, pretty much no matter what challenge they have?
I can say yes, very much so. I'm also very much into spirituality, and I have a very strong intuition, and I'm also an empath. And so when I leverage these tools and bring them in, it gives me almost just a different edge and insight into the person that I am coaching. And it also gives me the ability to just take a step back and look at it more from a higher level perspective and not so much getting into the weeds. And so I feel like incorporating my spirituality along with my business knowledge, my training background, my instructional and organizational design background, all of that really gives me a unique understanding of where a person is, not only in the business world, but also in the personal life, and then where that comes together.
So now, have you kind of found a tribe that you typically serve, or is your services kind of pretty much for anybody?
My services are for anybody, but I typically serve women who are either starting their business or wanting to start their business or wanting to break free of something that's holding them back in their lives. So they're not finding their voice. They're not finding that they have any control over their life, and they're really wanting to get back to that. And so what's really important for a woman who is starting her own business, and I lead many mastermind circles where it's about, okay, let's get you right first. And then as we do this, we'll start building in and creating your business. And I find that it's twofold. They're getting themselves together. They're building that mindset that really gives them the foundation to build their business upon.
Now, you mentioned spirituality. Another leg to your coaching is this Toltec. Is that how it's pronounced? Toltec?
Yes, it is Toltec
spirituality. Can you
Mm-hmm.
talk and educate our listeners about that methodology or that type of study?
Yeah, absolutely. The Toltecs were believed to have built the pyramids right outside of Mexico City in Teotihuacan, Mexico. And they were believed to be a society of elite people who really had mastered their thoughts and their way of thinking and how they functioned in society. And one of the first books that I encountered, and you may have heard of it, is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And he authored this book, and it's four very, what we would say, simple simple things to incorporate in your life. But when you do this on a regular basis, your life changes. It transforms in an incredible way. And that was my first encounter with the Toltec wisdom. It's also a vein of shamanism. So there's a lot of very practical tools that we use as Toltecs that keep us constantly in our belief system. Like, why am I behaving in a certain way? Or why do I believe I can't be a great mom if I don't do X? And so we start to unravel and deepen where we get these belief systems that we live by that are holding us in our own box. And so Toltec spirituality allows me to help not only live my life that way, but also help my clients be accountable, even though they may not know that I'm using a Toltec practice. Others do ask for, true Toltec spirituality, and they want to go deeper. And so for those, I definitely open that Pandora's box to help them, acquire the tools that Toltecs use in order to really ground within themselves and become vulnerable to who they are, and also focus on where they want to be.
Now, you mentioned that some folks come to you because they are kind of going through this transition or they feel stuck in some way. Can you talk a little bit about what those early conversations, when someone's deciding if you're the right fit for them, what do those early conversations look and feel like to make sure it is the right kind of fit for both of you, both you and the client?
And that initial conversation, it's really about getting to know that person, and them getting to know me. And they can ask me any questions they have, and I'll ask them some questions. And then also show them maybe a mini coaching session of what's one area that you're struggling with right now, and then guiding them through part of the process that I typically take. One of those processes can be really simple as go ahead and tap into the emotion that you're having around this situation, which is something that I feel is really important because we're taught to run away from our emotions. That's usually an exit where we're like, nope, I'm done. I'm not going there. But as their coach, I really encourage them to go deep within that emotion in their body, because that's where emotion lives. And then once they do that, we'll go ahead and disattach the story that they have to that emotion. And then I have them tell me their story, all of it. We're really great storytellers, and a lot of times we can't see where things get jumbled and mixed up in that. And once they tell me the story, we sit with that for a minute. And then I ask them to pull out the truths of the story. And the truths are the facts. What can you undeniably say is absolutely true in this story? And once we do that, we filter out what's not true. And then we're able to move forward with, what's your intent? What do you want out of this situation? And then we talk through how that can happen. And that can happen just in a matter of 15 minutes. And just the awareness that they gain from that is so incredibly enlightening to them that they're like, yes, I've got to do this.
Now, if you were to give advice to a new coach out there, what would be something that can maybe ease the learning curve for them in order to get a practice up and running?
Definitely get a coach. That I think has been one of the best things that I could do, was get my own coach, because otherwise you get really stuck, and sometimes it's really hard to realize you're even stuck. And so my best advice would be invest in yourself, get a coach who knows what you're doing, helping you build your business, who's been there, and have them help you along.
Now, for you, can you share a story of maybe you obviously don't name any names, but maybe kind of tell us the story of somebody who came to you and was really struggling, and that you were able to help them kind of let go of that struggle and maybe get to a new level?
I've had some breakthroughs with several people, of course, but one in particular that comes to mind. That individual felt that their life was just completely out of control, that they couldn't speak up for themselves, that anytime a situation would come up, they would crawl into their shell and just not be able to come out of that. And they'd spent a couple of years there, where they were once this dynamic person who had this huge voice in corporate America, and had no problems expressing and sharing what they felt, and they felt like they were contributing, which made them feel really valuable and powerful, and they'd lost that. And so after just a couple of sessions, it was a complete transformation. It was really this person getting out of the imposter syndrome and not feeling like they didn't have the skills that they needed to incorporate and be a contributor on every level. And what I found was that this person started to thrive not only in the workplace, but at home and every aspect of their life. And that was really because they were doing the internal work and unraveling the belief systems that were not serving them. So the belief system in this scenario was, I moved into a new role where I didn't have experience. So therefore I had to act meek and smaller in comparison to my peers. And that grew like weeds in her whole life. And to see that somebody's able to pull those weeds out and really create fertile soil, and then all of a sudden these blossoms are blooming everywhere.
Now, I think that's really where the power of coaching comes in. Once that aha moment happens, once that light bulb goes off, there can be kind of really dramatic change pretty rapidly.
Absolutely. And then when you celebrate with your client, because that's another thing we don't do, is we don't toot our own horn, and we don't stop to say, look at what I've done. But as a coach, I feel like it's really important to say, you know what, I want you to stop right here and let's acknowledge what you've done and what you've accomplished. And I am so proud of you. How do you feel? And that gives them the permission to celebrate and say, yes, I am a rock star. And it only helps them not only embody that success, but it also cements it in. And so they continue to open up for more growth and more success.
Yeah, I agree. I think people, when they have a success, that they tend to just expect it, like, oh, that's the way it was supposed to be, and they don't celebrate it, and they don't really remember it as a data point for the future when they are feeling low to go, you know what, I've done something like this before, I can get out of this. And they don't really have those kind of milestones engraved in stone like we used to do to celebrate victories and overcoming challenges.
Absolutely. I like to call those the rite of passages. So, you've done this, you've got that rite of passage to go to the next level. And what I believe it also does as we celebrate, from my psychology background, is that it creates neural grooves in our mind and our brain, telling us it's okay to celebrate. And our brain starts to think differently when it comes to that. And so those neural grooves start to get created over time, and we start to change our behavior permanently.
Right, and then the expectation is to succeed and to win and things like that maybe were before you were having negative expectations or kind of a woe is me feeling about everything.
Absolutely, yes.
So now for you, what could we be doing for you? What do you need more of at this point?
What do I need more of? Well, I've moved into doing this full time now, and I'm taking on new clients. So visiting coachadelee.com, you can see many of the different offerings I have. I am taking on new clients. So if anybody's interested, you can schedule a free consultation there. I'm also taking a group of people. This is a women's retreat to Peru in July. So if anybody's interested in going on an empowerment retreat to Machu Picchu and the Sacred Valley, I am definitely looking forward to taking some powerful women there and leading them through some great, amazing experiences.
Is this the first time you put together a retreat, or is this something you do regularly?
This is the first time I'm doing one alone, but I've been on retreats regularly and also assisted in retreats. But this is my first one. I anticipate widening that, wanting to have at least a quarterly retreat that I offer.
Wow, that is fantastic. Well, congratulations on all the success. And the website, one more time, is Coach Adelee, and that's spelled CoachAdelee.com.
That's correct. Thank you so much, Lee. I really appreciate your time.
Well, thank you for sharing your story. You're doing important work, and we appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much.
All right, this is Lee Cantor. We'll see you all next time on Coach the Coach Radio.